Hey everyone, welcome to the SMB Unite ProAV Solutions for SMB Growth webinar. We're glad to have you here today. When you first joined, we obviously have a poll question for you guys just to get a sense on where you are selling into to ProAV. My name is Jen Schaefer. I'm a senior marketing manager and a program manager here at D&H, and I cover all of the ProAV display vendor. So again, welcome, and we'll take a little pulse check to see where we are and where you guys are selling products. Good, I'm glad everybody's interested. I'm glad that nobody here is saying no plans currently. So we appreciate that for sure. As we move into the program, we have a couple of speakers today. We have Mike McMillan, who is the D&H Field Territory Sales Manager for D&H, and he covers all of our AV resellers. We have Rob Rashute, who is our Business Development Manager, and he covers our IT resellers. So for you guys, for our SMB folks, you guys will go to him for any questions or next steps. So Rob is your guy. And then just before we get started, we just have one more poll question before we get started. Again, we just want to gauge where you guys are, what you're selling into, to make sure that we're speaking to the ProAV solutions that are really going to help you guys move to the next step. So if you guys could submit your poll questions or your answer.
Yeah, and Jen, while they fill out that poll, I'll go ahead and give a little bit of background about myself. Again, Rob Rashute, Business Development Manager, working with our SMB partners on behalf of the ProAV team here at D&H. I actually started my career years ago in distribution, so came full circle to join back with D&H here in the last 6 months. In between that time, I spent some time with our vendors, a lot of the vendors that we work with here. And also had to stop on the integrator side. So I've kind of walked in your shoes a little bit, sat in your seat, however you want to say it. So looking forward to the next 45 minutes and talking to you a little bit more about ProAV.
Yeah, and Mike McMillan here. So I would call myself the senior of the team that's on with you guys now. I've spent the last 22 years in the ProAV vertical, owned my own install company, worked for a couple of different integrators, and now I've been in distribution for about the last decade, really diving into building partners through scalability. So excited to talk to you guys all today. Really interested to see what we can give to you as action items to take out, talk to your sales teams and other parts of your organization, and really grow your business in 2026. So glad to be with you guys for the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, so welcome again. And you'll also see for the Q&A, if you guys have any specific questions, make sure you put them in that Q&A, and I'll attempt to answer them, or I will let you know if we can do a follow-up and address it more deeply separate from the webinar. All right, let's see where we are. All right, so lots of video conferencing, interactive displays, that's good. PCs, okay. Awesome.
A little bit of everything.
All right. Yeah, a little bit. All right, Mike, if you want to take it away and let's get started.
Yeah, so again, thank you guys for spending some time with us this afternoon in this holiday season. So a little bit about our ProAV business unit. So right now, D&H as a whole, 108 years in business, employee owned. We are definitely dedicated to our partners in a big way. We have 25 co-owners that support this ProAV business unit. While some of our other competitors and frenemies out there are going to a platform-based business, we're doubling down and adding more people to really impact our partners' business. With over 150 combined years of ProAV experience on this team, we haven't really seen something that's new under the sun when you put us all together. So we're really excited as D&H really partners with us inside our business unit and gets us in with teams using Rob as our conduit to help you guys on the IT side really dive into ProAV in a big way in the next year. And Rob, I guess you could talk a little bit more about how we're going to do that in today's session.
Yeah, so what are we going to do today? Really what we want to leave you with is how and who at D&H, how are we going to support you in growing your AV practice, whether it's new? It looks like some of you guys have dabbled a little bit. Some of you guys have some experience in it. As Mike mentioned, we've got a full team of resources for you. So we want you to know who's who, what resources are out there, pre-sales design, product support, even post-sales support we can do. So by the end of this, you'll know all about that. We want to talk about solutions too, because that's what this business is all about, right? Classrooms, conference rooms, personal workspaces, different opportunities in retail. But first, I want to start just kind of with some examples, because Mike's going to talk a little bit about, like, truly what is ProAV? What do we mean when we're talking about ProAV? But we always like to talk about, like, a little bit of our experience and kind of like why we like ProAV, why we kind of shifted our careers this way, because I kind of did a little bit of everything. I did servers and networking and all kinds of things. I thought that was boring. So I kind of shifted about 5 or 6 years ago to go more down this ProAV and specifically video route. And really, it's because to me, it's more fun. Like, we can kind of see and hear the work when we're done with it. And it's kind of funny always this time of year. I know you guys can probably relate to this, like Thanksgiving, maybe next week at Christmas, the topic comes up of, like, what do you do? Grandma doesn't always know, maybe that aunt doesn't know. In my case, it's my mother. She still hasn't figured it out, even though I explained it all the time to her. But what's really cool about ProAV is it is a lot easier to explain, right? So I'm going to put Mike on the spot to give an example of maybe something that he's worked on the past that, like, he got really excited about, or a cool project. But I'll kind of tell you a quick one about what I've worked on in the past. And this is a professional basketball team in South Florida. And they had me and my group come in and work on some of their video conferencing rooms. They needed an upgrade, and specifically the big board room, right? Like where the GM was making all the trades and the draft board and all that kind of stuff. So a really important space. So we put in a great, really simple to use solution with one of those center of the room cameras. And after the install, I came in to go visit, and they said, hey, it's really great. It's seamless. Everybody loves it. Well, we have one problem. Shaq keeps showing up on the walls, and Dwayne Wade keeps showing up on this wall. So that was part of the technology being easier than ever. And really, it was a testament to how easy it was, because it took me less than 5 minutes to go ahead and fix that. And it was a feature right on the table on that pad to kind of fence in where that camera was going to be. But there's other examples like that. Maybe we'll get into another one. Mike, do you have an example of something you might have worked on in the past that's pretty cool like that?
Well, I mean, again, if we're going to stick with the NBA theme, there's a team that used to have, I don't want to be very controversial, but to me, the greatest basketball player that's played in Northern Ohio. We got to work on one of their facilities and just really diving into making it easy, right? Rob touched on it. How do we make technology easy for our partners? I look at what you guys do in the IT world sometimes, and it looks so complicated. For me, I look at what I get to do, and this is a great picture here on this slide of a sports bar area. I get to walk in with my kids and my wife and show people what I do. Now, the infrastructure that's behind it that you guys have built up with your networking switches and APs and everything like that really is where a lot of this work is done. We just get to be the cool guys that walk in the room and be like, hey, look, that's what we do. So that's one of my favorite, Rocket Mortgage. That team was great to work with. And then in the education space, we worked at the business school at Miami of Ohio and really doubled down with making that impactful for them. As they're trying to get the best and the brightest into their MBA program, they decided that they were going to double down on technology, IFPs, having interactive rooms where these leaders of tomorrow can go in and really hone their skills as executives. So those are just two simple solutions when I was in the Midwest that we really did a lot with. And I look forward to doing more as we grow this business out. And Rob can double down with you guys, especially as we move towards that retail space and QSR. So really excited about that.
That's cool. Yeah. So building solutions that really deliver the outcomes that your customers are looking for. But Mike, tell us more about just the ProAV. What do we mean by ProAV? And I'll let you talk about that, but we got another poll question, and hopefully everyone can answer that poll question. But when we talk about ProAV, what does that mean?
Yeah, so ProAV in a nutshell, right? We try to simplify that as we're building out new partnerships. It's really what lives on the edge that people are using people are seeing and is making an impact in the everyday business application in a commercial environment. So think about the pictures you just saw, but also think about an executive boardroom. You know, the display on the wall, the touch panel as you walk in, as well as the the camera that is capturing that meeting. How about when you're standing at the airport getting ready to board your plane and you're looking up and you see the dreaded delayed? You know, that's all part of a ProAV ecosystem. You know, but if we simplify it, it's really applications that are video, collaboration, and audio. Everything fits into one of those three categories in one way or another, whether it's a large format display, a direct view LED wall, or projector. How are we showing an image? How are we getting our message across in a visual way? The audio systems, very simply put, how do we let people hear what we're saying, and how do we make sure that it's clear and crisp for them to hear? Then you get into the nuance of collaboration. Why are we collaborating? Who are we collaborating with? Is it a sister organization? Is it a company across the world? And just making sure that we really understand how ProAV is instrumental in doing our business the right way as we move, you know, into this the new year. Especially when we look at the statistics across the board, you know, one of the things that, you know, we always pull from is the simple fact that we're in an industry that's growing in the right direction, right? If you look at the U.S. commercial display market, we're projected to go up almost 5% from 2021 to 2030, and the conferencing market is going to go up almost 8%. Where the rest of that industry is trending in that, you know, 2 to 3%, you're going to be able to double it as you double down with your ProAV practices. You know, we kind of like to show D&H has really doubled down in the SMB market. You know, Rob has done an amazing job with our team inside the walls, and we're up 18 and 17%, outpacing the market across the board. So really excited about that as we move to add more SMB partners to this and make it scalable for you guys. Again, just going back to what Rob said, we have a team, you know, so don't ever be afraid. So Rob, what did you see when you got some of those questions answered? Which solutions and what biggest challenges did you see?
I think we got to go back. I don't know if we gave enough time. Let's go back to that slide to let some folks answer that for the next minute, and then we'll take a look at that results. And while you guys are answering the poll question, I'll kind of talk a little bit about, you know, why SMB in building a ProAV practice. It sounds like some of you guys have kind of dabbled in it, but I'll break it down to really like three different things, right? And number one is always top of mind: margin. You should be able to get better margins than you're getting with maybe your networking or your desktop business. So work with us on that. You'll see some resources in a few here that will be able to help you with that, and myself included, but better margins in ProAV. The other thing is you have these customers already. So, you know, my question to you is, have you asked them? Have you asked about the display that might be at that entrance that hasn't been turned on ever when you've been in that room, or that conference room that maybe you're having one of your meetings in with them, maybe upgrading that? I used to love it when I'd walk in conference rooms, especially in SMB, where they'd have a TV set up and then they just have a little webcam with a wire hanging down to a PC. I mean, those are the kinds of opportunities that are out there. And again, these might be opportunities that are with your customers today, and you just might not be thinking to ask those. Maybe they're working with somebody else. Maybe they're just neglecting that part of the business, but an opportunity for you to get in there, get those opportunities and stay sticky, and also maybe open the door for new customers. If you offer something along the lines of digital signage, conference rooms, displays, maybe that gets you in the door with new customers. And then we kind of touched on the third one. It's easier than ever, right? It's not your granddaddy's ProAV, right? A lot of these products are super simple to use, not just for you to deploy and set up and manage, but also for the customers. And what's great about that, the easier it is for them to use, the less calls you get for support and problems that you have. So getting into the SMB market, it's a great time to do it right now. So let's see, what do we have here for some results on our poll? Biggest challenge in selling ProAV today. 50% limited vendor relationships. There's a guy on this call raising his hand right now. And there should be another guy on this call raising his hand that can definitely help you out with that. That is definitely one of our follow-ups for this.
Well, again, I really like that That's the answer, right? Customer awareness, pricing and margins, as Rob just pointed out, but limited vendor relationships. This is one, as somebody that came from, a mid-sized SMB player for many years, that was always our connection point, right? Is, oh, we're not direct. We're not direct, so we can't do that well. Well, that's what distribution is here for, right? We're here to really bridge that gap for you guys, myself, Rob. Later on, we'll kind of show you the team that will help you get those relationships as well as build on the relationships internally. And the lack of technical knowledge, again, that's something I hear in the field when I'm traveling a lot. I really don't know where to start or how to start. And as we go through this and we set up custom plans after this call, I think you'll really like to see how easy it really is. So again, that's great that we are able to do that as an organization now with all the different people that report into this BU. I'm excited to see where we can go in 2026. So Rob, as we are talking about some things, what are some of the verticals that you really see in growth mode right now?
So it's endless, right? If you think about it, there's almost not a business that has some sort of audio visual need, right? There's always some sort of screen, whether it's video conferencing, digital signage, a TV, there's always a need there. And then audio as well, speakers. Like you and I are kind of trained by now, right? We go into different places. It doesn't matter if it's a bar, restaurant, a business. And do you not look at the ceiling and see if there's a speaker system set up in that place? Or am I the only crazy person like that?
No, for sure. My wife, I drive her crazy because I'm always looking up. We walk into any restaurant, any shopping plaza. I'm like, who did they use? So yeah, no, I'm with you 100% there.
Even when I check out somewhere, I'm like, oh, what's the POS system? What's the, the monitor, all that. So, and we do have a question in the chat that we will address, but Tony asked, he mentioned he attended his first InfoComm in 2025, but he's wondering, how does D&H decide what solutions and what vendors to carry?
Oh, that's, if you don't mind, Rob, let me start on that one, just because, Tony, that's a fantastic question. As somebody that's lived this life for 22 years, there's always somebody new, somebody exciting. What it really boils down to is who supports me when I need it the most, right? The relationships that we've built with our vendor partners are what drives success to our end users like you. If we have great relationships with the vendor partners, great relationships with their technical teams, it just all flows to our reseller partners, and in your case, your end user that's actually using this in their environment. So that's the number one thing. Are they a relationship vendor or are they a transactional vendor? To me, relationship is number one and number two. As far as technology, right? This is not we're not out here saving the whales or building, the next rocket to Mars. We're selling rectangles, right? So what matters is, how do we get the support from the vendors? Because all relationships, truthfully, are built in conflict. There should never be a question of us getting a PO, shipping a box, delivering a box, you putting a box on the wall, right? It's when there's a conflict where a truck doesn't show up, box has a forklift hole in it, and now we have to scramble. And that's when relationships are built, in that conflict. And we just leverage our relationships to have the partners on the vendor side that are ready, willing, and able to step up. So it is really simple when it comes down to selecting our vendor partners. And as far as solutions, we kind of let the resellers guide that, right? So we have an adage inside of our BU that we reserve the right to get smarter every day. So if there's something that we're missing or something that you guys are seeing, please bubble that up to Rob, bubble that up to your sales team at D&H, and we will take that to our vendor management team and go, okay, we're hearing about this vendor, we're hearing about this solution. Let's go, deep dive and make sure this is something that we're not missing the boat on. So, Rob, I don't know if you have any other thing to add there.
Yeah, well, no, I think much like you, I'm constantly just trying to keep up with the latest and greatest, right? So it's good to hear, Tony, that you're attending events like InfoComm, because really that's kind of like your job, right? You're a technology advisor for your customers. So going out there and seeing the latest and greatest at a show like InfoComm, where you really get the latest and greatest, is a great place to be. But I know a lot of you guys can't make, all these industry events like InfoComm. And again, I think that's where myself and our team here at D&H can start to have conversations with you about like, hey, what are you seeing out there for the latest and greatest in digital signage or whatever that technology is? Because it's our job to really come to our customers with those solutions that are going to solve their problems. And I want to go over this slide a little bit, these verticals that are in growth mode. One of the suggestions, if you're just breaking into ProAV, is really just pick. Maybe it's one, maybe it's two, maybe it's three, but try to pick a couple lanes and just get really good at them, right? Be the best company in your area at small, medium-sized conference rooms, right? Because there's so many different opportunities, and word of mouth goes a long way once you start doing really good business. Maybe it's digital signage, maybe it's education and getting into that space, but if you can really narrow down the technologies in the vertical that you want to get started with, and work with your engineers too, like, are they more into designing conference rooms versus digital signage? Lean into that, because once you get really good at one segment in ProAV, they're going to start asking what else you can do for them. So that's kind of the takeaway from this slide here is, where can I really get started and get really good at? Because if you do a great job, you're going to expand from there.
Yeah,
Let's go to. I want to just put up this poll. You can talk through it, but let's ask, because I'm kind of curious what verticals everyone is primarily serving right now. And we're going to talk a little bit more about verticals and different ProAV projects within those that maybe you're not thinking of.
Yeah, so again, verticals are really important as you build out a practice, because you'll have crossover points inside of a vertical, like displays, collab. But what's really important is, if you're good at education already, right, or you're good at retail spaces already, you're going to really take a leap very quickly to the next scalability of that. So I love education. It's one of my favorite verticals. Now, it's one of the hardest verticals as well, because you're dealing with budgets and really tight timelines on getting things installed. But what's really cool is education has a cycle, right? They have to replace a classroom every 3 to 5 years. So once you're in a classroom organization like a large school district or even a medium-sized school district, you kind of can future cast your business with them and say, okay, in 3 years, when we know this is end of life, or the next technology is out, you kind of have a roadmap forward. Retail is very similar. I'm working on a project right now with the Home Depot. That is a 2-year, every 2 years, they have to replace, screens across this entire country. That's something that D&H as a partner for one of our end users was like, wow, how do we do this efficiently? So we were able to build out that project. So really excited as 2026 launches for us to jump into some of these other verticals. And Rob, it looks like, look at that, education, corporate, retail. I love the healthcare too. That's one of the verticals that D&H is really trying to break into with Ergotron and some other brands. But wow, big education play here, Rob.
Cool. That's pretty interesting. That's kind of what I was thinking we would see, to be honest with you. I wanted to go. We've got an intro to ProAV slide that goes over some of the verticals, but let's go to this one. I'm not seeing it, but let's go to this one. Let's talk a little bit more about some of these solutions for these different verticals in classrooms and whatnot. And, education, obviously you guys are in that market. So we'll start with that one. IFPs was like the hottest thing for the last several years, right? But now we're kind of at that point where it's time to refresh those IFPs. So there's still IFP opportunities out there to be had, but a lot of it's a different conversation. It's what's the newest, what companies have AI built into their IFPs now, where they can do things that the last generation couldn't do. The other thing that I've had some conversations on is podcast studios, actually. So Jim, one of our solution specialists for Harman, put together kind of a whole list of, hey, here's some solutions for schools that want to build a podcast studio. And what's really cool about, these podcast studios, whether it's podcasting, audio only or video, a lot of times you include video in those studios now, the kids really are into it, right? So it's something that, they really see the value of adding after they do it. But a lot of companies are just not sure, like, where do I even start with this? We're not a podcast production company. So again, we've got resources, we've got solutions that can kind of help you get started in that world. And then some of the things that you can do to get in there, I'll give you another one of my real stories, is I was trying to get into the school district that my kids go to. And I got in there by dropping off some demo gear. And it was really simple. I got a hold of the right person, said, hey, we're new to the area. We do professional AV projects. Is there any technologies that you're interested in testing out? So it started with very basic document cameras and headsets. And I got a hold of my manufacturers, which we can help you out with, got the gear and dropped it off. Less than a week later, they called me to scope out not, headsets and document cams, but several of the school's auditoriums to redo their whole audio systems, which is a much bigger project. And what's really funny about it is one of the schools was where my two teens go. So we might think we're cool doing this stuff, but don't expect the teenagers to think you're cool. They were not impressed that I was going to do a site survey at their school, and we totally upgraded their auditorium situation. The other thing that's been really cool in education that we've seen is DV LED. So yes, schools are putting in DV LEDs, whether it is in the backdrop of that auditorium. Think about it. You can use it for many different things, including all those productions that they do there. The other side of it is in those cafeterias. Same thing, the smaller schools, the middle schools, the elementary schools, they might have their assemblies and their presentations in those cafeterias so they can use it for that. And guess what? When they're not using it for that during the day, during lunch, that's for your announcements and your digital signage in that room. So don't think that you can't put a DV LED in a school. It's definitely possible. What else? So mid-sized conference rooms, a lot of people think we can just drop a bar in there. There's a lot of different bars. We carry some great brands that have bars. Again, these are super simple to use, hook up to displays, work well with Teams and other platforms. Most of them have BYOD availability. What a lot of people forget about is those room schedulers that go outside. Another nice touch. So when you walk up to that room, you can see, hey, is somebody in this room without having to pop your head in if there's no windows or anything like that. So a lot of different options that we have for conference rooms. And as you saw on one of the previous slides, that is still a growing market as companies still are trying to get people to come back to the office. You've got to upgrade these spaces and make sure that everyone is heard and seen no matter where they're sitting in that room. And even if they move a little bit to the side, my camera should follow me as I move, but I can't see myself right now. But a lot of this technology, again, super easy to use. It does it by itself. All you need to do is kind of show them the way on it and set it up for them. And these products really do great work. On the other side of that, the personal workspace, again, the headsets, the docks, the mice, the keyboards, all of that involved in that personal space. And then retail spaces. I think a lot of SMB retail spaces kind of get lost. I've got a project that kind of came to us this week for a barbershop. They wanted digital signage. They wanted to be able to switch it over and put a movie if they wanted to on that. So there's a lot of opportunity in retail spaces, especially in that digital signage space. I used to work for a hotel, actually, and I swear twice a week I'd have to go have a sign made at a store. And I look at some of these projects now and I'm thinking like, wow, that would have been a lot easier if we had some digital signage at the hotel that I was at.
Yeah, and Rob, the retail spaces is something we've really seen pick up over probably the last 12 months as people want to shop again, right? I think one of the things you'll see is these stores that kind of were, struggling over the last couple of years. Now they're getting this influx of people, foot traffic is coming back, and, they need to spruce up these stores, whether it's your local town, whether it's a regional facility that, services a rural area like where I live, all the places around here, the McDonald's is the mom and pop pizza shop, they're doing digital signage now. So it's really interesting to see these retail spaces, these restaurants, these, old school bars jumping in on this to get technology inside of their walls. So, I think the other part of this, Rob, that sometimes worries people is, what if I don't know what to ask, right? We talk about this all the time. What questions to ask? What's important? We call it vision casting or dream casting. When you're sitting across the table from your reseller partner and you're trying to scope a ProAV, project out for the first time, there's really three simple things to do. Number one, what are they doing with this product, right? What is their goal? Is it a business goal? Is it a cultural goal? Is it an impact piece, right? Rob talked about it, a hotel. Some of the hotels spend millions of dollars on these direct view LED walls just so when you walk in, you go, wow, this place must be really nice because of this. The other thing is, when you're looking at this project, we have to talk about budget, and that along with budget is timeline, right? We can do a lot of things, but if you spec out a project that's $100,000 for somebody that only has 50, and you shoot yourself in the foot, versus you spec out a $100,000 project, the person has the money, but that has to be done in 2 weeks, and that's not feasible. So keeping those three things at the forefront of your mind is really, really important, but also understanding that you have support and you have scalability at your distribution partner at D&H, right? We have an entire team behind me and Rob, right? We have an entire project management team. If you really dive into the installation side of that Rob, after this call, can reach out and really walk you down that path. It's something, as a guy that owned my own install company for 4 years, I would have really loved to have at the peak of, me doing business. The other thing is, the brain power that you have inside your walls, whether it's IT driven, whether it's your verticalized sales groups, they know low voltage and they just don't realize it. So you have the technical know-how to do an audio system. It's just really connecting the dots and helping them understand when and where they can leverage the knowledge that they have inside. Because if you can run a network plan, you can run a digital signage plan. If you can connect a modem, you can connect a amplifier, right? It's just the same idea, is just taking your time and learning the projects. But the one thing I really want to just hammer home is, this is a team, right?
Mike, real quick, we did have a question. If we can go back to that, we did have a question come up with the Q&A with the questions to ask. So if you could go back to that slide. Sure. Okay. The question was, how do we know how to answer that if we're not familiar with it? And I'll actually take part of this question because we think it's really important to arm you guys with the tools that you guys need to start selling into ProAV. So what we are developing, and we're just about done, and it'll be posted on our website to share with you guys, but we have a conversation guide that we have created specifically for ProAV. So it's questions that you will be asked versus you asking the questions. You will be asked certain questions, and we'll give you some guidelines on how to ask those questions. But also, in addition to that resource, like Mike was calling out, we do have a whole team. So if you ever have a meeting and you're going out with an end user and you want some backup and you want someone there with you, our team will also go out to those meetings with you and sit through those meetings and help you answer those questions. So D&H is here for you from that perspective as well. So Mike or Rob, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that question.
Well, yeah, let's dive into that question, because that is a great question. So during the vision casting stage, you don't have to answer the question, right? What you want to do in that moment is you want to gather as much information. I taught a lot of my project managers when they're doing a site survey for me, I would say, you got 2 ears, 1 mouth. So I better know double of what you said, right? So when you're having these meetings with those decision makers, it's more about taking really good notes, establishing what they really want, And then you bring it back to your team and you go, okay, great. We had this meeting, with CEO John. Here's what he wants inside of his four walls. Because on the spot answering that question is sometimes really could set up a poor, executable solution for that partner. But if you take really good notes and you go back and you sit down with your project management team, or if you're a one-man gang like I was for a long time, you sit down and you scope out that project and you write, okay, he wants to be able to control a executive boardroom. He needs to have a training room that he can bring in new employees into that is interactive, right? So then you walk through each one of those different solutions and then you build out a bill of material, right? Anytime you're doing vision casting, it is the expectation that you have to set that you're not going to walk out with a bill of material today, Mr. Customer, because I'm going to go back and provide you the best solution I can. So yeah, that's a great question. And again, to Jen's point, know you have a team behind you, and kind of what we were showing there when we went back is you have executive buy-in, right? We have 3 VPs that support this business unit. Jen and her partner in crime, Lindy, on the marketing side can really dive in with you guys. Amy and John work a lot with me as my vendor business managers. To the question earlier, how do we decide the solutions? Well, we go to John and Amy and go, hey, our customers are telling us we need X, Y, and Z. Go make it happen. And then me and Rob, we're the face, the boots on the ground. Rob will work with your guys, intimately. And then anytime Rob needs support, he brings me in to help with his partners. I'm always ready and willing to jump on a phone call. And then if I'm in your area and you need some expertise, I'm always ready and willing to stop in and say hi as well. So that's just part of the team, right? So as we expand, and we've touched on a little bit, we have an entire business unit, right? So D&H has committed to really support this business moving forward, right? So each one of our sponsored, we call them sales specialists. They are basically, there's no difference from them and somebody that actually works at the company. A lot of my specialists get told all the time, they're like, who do you work for again? D&H or Samsung or Logitech? And we like it that way because we want you to know that you have a person, not just an inbox in Malaysia or in Costa Rica where you need to get an answer. You have a person's name, you have an inbox, you have me, you have Jen, you have Rob, you have Lindy to go to, because we believe in people being the greatest differentiator. As a distributor, we have to do 3 things really well, right? We have to be logistically good, we have to be price good, and we have to give you a differentiator. And at D&H, it's the people, right? This business unit has some of the best people in the industry, some of the brightest young people coming up through as our sales specialists, and all of them love working with our customers. So never think you can annoy them. Josh Weimer is somebody I like to call out because he's always ready, willing to jump on a phone call with you and your partner. Rob can connect those dots. Obviously, Chris Stedman and the Logitech team, there's a reason we have 3 of them, because we've built out a really robust Logitech solution for our partners. And we love getting on the phone with you and just being an extension of you, right? We can be that expert on the call when you're worried about not knowing the answer to some questions. So, Rob, anything you'd like to add from your perspective?
I gotta give a shout out to my guy Isaiah. So if you start to work with us, you start to work with me, you will no doubt meet Isaiah. He is kind of our dedicated solution architect. So if you come to me and say, hey, we've got this big divisible room and they want to be able to use it and do video conferencing and split it in 2, but also be able to combine it, he's our guy that we'll talk to kind of figure out and go through what the right solution is for that. And then on the other side of that, once we work together and sometimes with Isaiah to kind of build that bill of materials, figure out what the right solution is. Well, what about the other side? What about doing that installation? And this kind of goes back to hopefully the conversation you and I will have as a follow-up for this. And I'm talking to you guys on the webinar watching. Really, I want to learn about what it is that you guys do. Do you have your own technicians? Are you doing your own installs? Is that something that you need our support with? So that's where kind of Sam Coyle, the professional services team, comes in. You might already be running trucks, but as Mike kind of said earlier with education, like sometimes you only get these windows, right? Like now's one of them, winter break, spring break, the summer, everyone's trying to get everything done. But you might have a project on the different side of town. So there's a lot of different resources here to help you out with all aspects of the business. And as Mike said, the buy-in from leadership to really grow the ProAV practice is honestly one of the reasons why I came to this company this year.
Yeah, so again, we just want to hammer home Team D&H. You'll never be alone in this battle of ProAV. We really enjoy working with our partners as they dive into this, right? I know a lot of people have, we call it stuck their toe into ProAV. We want you to be ready, willing, and able to dive in head first, because that there's a lifeguard in Rob and Isaiah, myself, and other team members there ready and willing to help you at a moment's notice. And then, there's Jen and her team, right? So Jen, what can you do from the marketing side?
So we are here to help you guys because we know sometimes messaging can be very difficult to get out there to your customers. So we do have a lot of resources available to you guys, especially from an SMB perspective, because we know you're not experts in ProAV and we want to help you grow. So we're going to give you all the tools that you guys need in order to grow that practice, but we are here to help you. If you scan that QR code, we have a dedicated ProAV landing page and website, and there's a lot of resources out there built on solution and vertical information. And then in addition to that, we're also working on specific customizable marketing resources. So we are working on flyers and email templates that you can use as part of your practice and just put your logo on there and send it out to your customers. So that you have that ongoing marketing and that messaging support. And some of the examples, like I said earlier, we're working on that conversation guide. So that will be uploaded in what we refer to as our market shift resource section of the D&H ProAV or the D&H website. So all of this information is out there. And after the webinar, we will send you links to all of these resource pages as well. And we'll also share the deck with you just as an FYI. But also part of what we are really creating here at D&H is it's important for you guys to experience it, see the things working together as a solution, be able to touch it, feel it. So we've been really hot on increasing our immersive experiences on site at D&H. In our Harrisburg office, we've recently updated some of our collaboration rooms that really focus on our ProAV vendors. So you can see what Logi's solution works with, a Samsung display, Neat, how it works with an LG or a Sharp display, and just how they all connect. We also have an AI demo experience room. So you'll see different kind of IFPs in there. You'll see, the retail digital signage from Sharp and how bright it is with the different nits. So that's important to see that. We also have a golf simulator on site that you can see with the projector, how it works with the projector and how it works with the PC and all of that together. We also have a cyber range. So you can actually come on site to our Harrisburg office and see all of that live and in person and get a walkthrough. Isaiah would be, we keep talking about Isaiah, he's amazing, but he would actually walk you through it and talk to you guys about how all of it works together and what you need to know to start selling it. All right, so we have another poll question, just because as Lindy and I are working through the ProAV program and what we want to do for our customers, we want to make sure that we continue to give you as much training as possible. So we are dedicated to helping you grow your business. So we're doing a couple events throughout the year that will offer education opportunities for you. So in addition to webinars, we're doing some on-site education and stuff like that. So let me see, I think the poll question, well, I don't see the answer to that one. Okay, we'll come back to the answers as far as like educational opportunities, but I wanted to throw these dates out to you just to mark them in your calendar as we move into 2026. We are super excited to host another ProAV Partner Jam. Last year was our first one. We were super excited for that. We had some partners on site and they got to walk through a vendor showcase. We did an after hours networking event and we also did some workshops so we could educate our resellers. This is a great opportunity for our SMB partners to actually get out there and see, dive deeper into ProAV. So it will be Wednesday, April 15th in Harrisburg. And then we're also going to do another roadshow type one the last week in September. Right now we're looking at Nashville, but we'll have more information out to you guys for that as well. But I think that's a great opportunity for you guys to get that education. And then we do offer a networking event at Infocom. Our whole team basically goes out to Infocom and we're there to network with partners. We're there for meetings. We're there to see the new technology as well. But our Infocom event is at Top Golf every year. So that will be, actually that changed. It's now Wednesday, June 17th. We had to switch it because we had a conflict with one of our partners.
And Jen, just to call out the Infocom, I know Tony talked about going to Infocom. I will say, as somebody that's been in the industry for 22 years, if you can send a decision maker to Infocom, it will really impact your ProAV business. One, to see the technology, to have the conversations, to really dive into what the roadmap to the future looks like for ProAV as we integrate AI into our devices, as we integrate, low cost, large display, direct view LED, as it becomes foldable, bendable, and we can use it in many, many different environments. I think it is a great return on investment to send, a couple. Again, your sales guys are going to want to go because this year it's in Vegas, but overall, it is a great experience to spend the time, walk the floor, find out, what you're interested in, and it goes back to what Rob said: find a couple things that you can do well or feel you can do well, and go see the technology, touch the technology, because there's demo rooms, there's sound demos for speakers, there's, shootouts between different video companies when it comes to their brightness of their displays or projectors. And then again, as part of the, being part of our team, come hang out with us at Top Golf, hit some golf balls, watch us all, some of us that are terrible at golf, raise my hand for that one, have us look foolish, but have a good time. So again, these events are for our partners and we really enjoy them.
Yeah, and that's a great point too. So again, these events, when we have our workshops, it's really meant to help you guys. We kind of do it in like two tracks. So there's a ProAV 101 that if you're new to AV, that's a great way to get educated in different topics. And we go beyond just like speeds and feeds of products. We actually dive deeper into how do you sell it? What's your selling points, your messaging? How do you get more credit at D&H? How do you meet vendors? And we'll do all of that in our workshops. One of the questions in the chat was, will you be adding more on-tour type events this year? Would love to see you in my city. We do want to. So far in 2026, we only have that one roadshow location now. So we will be in Harrisburg. We'll also be in Nashville. So hopefully you can attend one of those, and you will all be getting invitations to both of those events. So hopefully you can attend one of them. But we do look to add more locations in the future. We're just, right now we have 2 scheduled for the year. Great question though. Okay, so let's go back to see if we have the, okay, more training. Let's see.
Like the 100%.
All right, everybody wants training. Yay. That's good. That's a good answer. Awesome. Yep, we'll definitely do lots of training for you. Again, workshops, webinars. And I know next year, Lindy and I are working on some podcast opportunities that we will go through and just make sure that we're bringing you the most innovative and interesting ideas and thought leadership and anything that we can do to help you grow and understand the business, we're going to do it. So we're adding it throughout 2026. So watch for those on our ProAV website. Again, that QR code in this deck, we'll email it to you guys after we are done. The next question, and I think the final poll question, is what excites you the most about adding ProAV to your portfolio? We're super excited to get that information and help you guys dive into that. Let's see, we're getting some submissions.
We should have put all of the above, Jen. That would have been the best answer.
I know. New revenue streams. Yep. And one of the things too that I don't know if Mike touched on is the amount of margin in ProAV. Mike, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, no, Rob set it up, but again, one of the things we've realized over the last 3 to 5 years is that ProAV allows that that tight Chrome deal, that endpoint device, to not hurt so bad, right? We have a lot of partners that would walk away from those that were traditionally ProAV that would be like, yeah, I'm not selling a Chrome laptop, I'm not doing endpoint devices, and now we have IT guys going, wait a second, that's all I sell. Why wouldn't I want to sell an LG display or a Logitech, collaboration solution and make some of my margin back? So we do structure it to be margin rich for our reseller partners. And the other thing is too, you're providing a solution. That's why I love seeing 67% of the people saying that offering the complete solution is what excites you the most, because that's what excites your customer. Is I can walk in my office and I'm ready to go. I don't have to worry about not having the right device, not having the right solution, because my partner, I can only see Visual AV, was able to give me the solution that I needed. Or, my teammate, Sean, was able to build out this solution for ProAV and my IT solution, and I didn't have to go 3 places to get this done. That's what this is all about, is connecting the dots, right? Making you better, using Rob as a conduit into us to really, take you to that next level.
Yeah.
And I am really that next step. So you got my email up there. What I'd really like to do with everyone that joined is, have some one-on-one time with you. I like what you said earlier, Mike. We've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. And that's how I approach that first call. I actually have a form that I just kind of go down and ask you questions, and it helps me learn about what your business does, what you need, and then we can talk about, what is it? Is it more of technical training that you need? Is it more on the marketing side? I'm surprised I don't get more questions on like, hey, my salespeople need help. They don't know how to sell this stuff. And there's an art to that. And I had to deal with it the hard way and figure it out the hard way. And I have some really, really good tips that I know can work for anyone. So, reach out to me. Let's set up that first call. And then from there, I'll get you in touch with the right folks. After that, maybe, and it was mentioned on this call, vendor field reps, getting to know the people that are out in the field. Mike and myself, we task ourselves to make sure we know as many of those people that we can. So we want to make sure that they know you and they want to know you. They are looking for partners selling into the SMB field, and they tell us that. So let's talk about that. The other thing is demo gear and NFR gear. If you are using it internally, whether it's at your personal workspace, whether it's in your conference room, you will much easily be able to sell that product because you know it. You use it day to day. So I always encourage, what demo gear can we help you get? What NFR gear can we help you get? And then the opportunities are real, right? I mean, I'm not joking when I tell you I've had 8 new projects hit my desk this week, the week before the holidays. So if you've got an opportunity, bring it to us. Let's start to talk about it. We'll get Isaiah involved. We'll get a sales specialist involved if we need to. We'll get you the best pricing, and let's flesh out that opportunity. And then again, on the other side, if you need that help with installation, now's the time of the year, spring break, summer, whenever. We've got the resources within professional services that can help you with those installations. So that is the call to action after this. Reach out to me. Let's have a conversation and talk about what those next steps are to really start getting your ProAV business going. And I want to give a little shout out to to some of our premier vendors here. You can see a bunch on the screen: LG, Logitech, HP Poly, Sharp, Asus, Epson, Legrand, Neat. We love all of our vendor partners. And if you haven't checked out our full vendor line card, go scan that code and see everything we've got to offer.
Awesome.
Yeah, again,
thanks,
thank
Rob.
you guys for spending some time with us today. These vendors are what help us make solutions, right? Rob called out some of our favorites, but just one thing to touch on that Rob brought up is the vendor partner connection with the manufacturers. Understand that sometimes it's going to be me and Rob and our specialists because they don't have an SMB rep at Samsung, or they don't have an SMB rep at HP Poly. So the more we connect, the more Rob is able to connect the dots there, understanding that, your vendor rep might be our Samsung sales specialist or our HP Poly specialist. And that's what a lot of our partners really pride themselves on, is having that connection where it feels like, yeah, I'm direct with an OEM now. So I look forward to, hearing from Rob that everybody on this call has blown up his phone and he needs my help to support that. So Jen, I don't know if you have anything else at this time. If not, I was great talking to you guys today. And Rob, go Lightning, right?
Yes, sir.
Just a huge thank you for attending our SMB webinars. I know we've had a series of them, so we thank you for joining those, and look forward to hosting some ProAV specific webinars in 2026. So again, thank you for joining, and Rob will be reaching out soon, and we'll follow up with the deck at a later time. If you have any other questions, if you want to throw them in the chat now, we have a few minutes to see if there are any other questions out there. Are there any industry events where we can meet and see the team?
Yeah. We're me and Rob are actually putting our I guess you would call it our roadmap for 2026 together now. We will definitely be at Infocom, and I will be at an event called Total Tech. We also have some regional events that me and Rob are scoping out now that are kind of education focused mostly. But yeah, industry events are great. There's a lot of regional events. Also, I don't know, what we have as far as other D&H events through other, different vendor partners, but Rob will be at some of those as well. So yeah, we'll be all over. And again, reach out to me and Rob. We travel extensively. So if you're near where we're going to be, we'll just stop in and say hi, right? That's part of the gig. We love meeting with partners. We love seeing how you guys operate your business. So definitely reach out to me and Rob. And if you're in the town that will be soon, yeah, we'll put the plan together to stop in and see how you do business.
Awesome. Any other questions before we end this session? We appreciate it. All right, looks like we're all set. So again, thank you for joining, and this will be on demand on the D&H website. So if you want to see parts of it again, or you need that QR code, you can watch this webinar again, and then we will follow up with more information. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, thank you guys.
Thank you.